Om Shanti. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to another Yoga Small Talk, and we continue with 7 minutes Bhagavad Gita a day. We were reading verses 16 and 17 about moderation in practice. We gave an overview, a general overview about the principle of moderation in yoga and why it is so important. And now we can unpack the verses. So let's look first at verse 16. Verily, yoga is not possible for him who eats too much, nor for him who does not eat at all, nor for him who sleeps too much, nor for him who is always awake, O Arjuna. So here yoga is both the practice and the attainment, meaning here yoga is the yoga of meditation. We are in chapter 6. So this person will not be able to practice meditation and of course will not be able to meditate. So eating too much, of course, overloads the stomach and we become very heavy and very dull and we get this tendency to sleep. And one cannot meditate like this. Also, eating too much, when you think about it in the context of the yoga of meditation, for instance, when you think about it in the context of the yamas and niyamas, the prohibitions and the observations, eating too much by some of the commentators is considered theft or greediness. In what sense? In the sense that we are taking food that does not belong to us. It's not needed, so we are just overtaking. So this is another way to look at it. Another way to look at it, eating too much, of course, is the quality of gluttony. And so this is greed. And this is not the quality of a yogi who is away from greed and using food to sustain the body. So the attitude should be, yes, I should eat. So it is said here, not for him who does not eat at all, because when we don't eat, the mind becomes dull. We will discuss it in a minute. So yes, I should eat. To what extent? To the extent necessary to sustain my body so that it will be able to do the practice. Also in this way, we are not too busy with food. Of course, the food needs to be tasty. This is principles of Ayurveda. It needs to be satisfying, but we don't think about it too much. The food is just there as a means for us to sustain the body, and the body is our vehicle to do the practice. Now, what happens when we don't eat at all? This is the other end of the spectrum. Not eating at all, assuming it is by choice, of course, is also a fanatic practice, meaning the person starts practicing self-torture. We discussed about it in the previous video that this is something that's either highly rajasic or either highly tamasic, depending on what the motivation for this practice is. And in any event, it will not help us with our practice. Swami Sivananda tells us, in this verse, the Lord prescribes the diet for the students of yoga. You must observe moderation in eating and sleeping. If you eat too much, you will feel drowsy and sleep will overpower you. You will get indigestion, flatulence, diseases of the bowels and the liver. So Swami Sivananda was also a doctor by profession, so here he also reminds us that it will actually make us sick. So we should not do that. If you eat too little, you will get weakness and you will not be able to sit for a long time in meditation. So you see, many people, when we think about diet and stuff like that, we think about what we will look like and, maybe how healthy we will be or stuff like that. Here, Swami Sivananda tells us, you are in the context of meditation. So remember, if you eat too much, you will not be able to meditate because you will be sleepy or sick or both. And if you eat too little, you will not be able to meditate because you will be too weak. So it's always how this will affect my meditation. So the yogi is very determined. Remember what we spoke about? The yogi is endowed with burning desire to be liberated from the pains of samsara. But how to be liberated? To be liberated, we need to do it wisely. So again and again we're reminded we need to do it wisely. And to do it wisely here is to practice moderation until it's time for us to do other practices which will be prescribed by our teacher, only by our teacher, not by the mind that can mislead us. So Swami Sivananda continues, you should eat neither more nor less than what is actually necessary for maintaining the body in a healthy and strong state. So we say, I eat to live and do not live to eat. So this is also a very yogic saying. We eat as much as necessary to maintain the body, understanding the importance of having a healthy and strong body to our practice. It may mean also that success in yoga is not possible for him who eats more than the quantity prescribed in the textbooks of yoga. So this is another interpretation. The yogic diet described in the scriptures follow the principle of mitahara. It says, fill half the stomach with food, a quarter with water, and the remaining fourth must be empty for the free movement of air. So this is mitahara, or the moderate diet for the student of yoga. Those are the two interpretations, and we will continue discussing this verse, and we will also see verse 17 in the next teaching. So please join us. Om Shanti.